It's time to rise, heal, and claim. You're listening to Reclaiming Destiny with Cici Stephen.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So welcome back. So on part one, we left off on a sour note. Your story, your Cinderella story, this is where it led you to where we are now. And that is the death of both of your parents, your father and your mother. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then I'm going to share, because this shortly after the death of your mother is where I enter into this story. And so we'll get to that. But first, tell us about your father, and then we'll go into your mother.
Okay, so my dad, I never really discussed my dad's passing, Cici, with anybody because it just was kind of surprising to all of us. He was diabetic, and he also, we found out later on, after moving to Florida, he ended up not feeling well. He didn't know why, and we went to many doctors here. And I think this might be why Florida gave me a very sour note and taste, because we would go to doctors after doctors, and they couldn't tell us. Finally, he ended up with this cut on his leg, and diabetics getting cuts and they not healing properly can be very, very dangerous. We also, besides finding out that it became cellulitis, he also had congestive heart failure as well.
Oh, wow.
He had like 6 heart attacks, silent heart attacks, and we didn't even know it. And so he, after a few years, at the age of 69, he ended up passing away due to a blood clot. He was in the hospital at the time. He wasn't feeling well. He was filling up with water again, which can happen with congestive heart failure. And he ended up passing away due to a blood clot. He was in a lot of pain, they said. He was trying to get help. It was during the shift change. I'll always remember those words, shift change. And he was decided he was going to get himself help, and he ended up passing out on the floor and dying on the hospital room floor.
Oh, wow. Very sorry to hear that. How did your mother and sister take that?
Steffi was here at the time with her. He's no longer in her life, her ex. She was the one who got the phone call. They called the house phone. My sister answered the phone in the morning. They called us the next morning. It happened in the middle of the night, but they called us in the morning. And my sister answered the phone, and they told my sister. I woke up because she was screaming. Mom woke up because she was screaming. Steffi was the one who told us. And I basically it can't be true. It can't be true. We ended up showering and getting dressed and going to the hospital, and the person relayed the story about the shift change.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because which I'll tell this story on a future show, had a not so close relationship with my father, either of my biological parents. And I used to always tell myself that when my father died, when my parents died, when I was younger, and people would ask me, I wouldn't care. I don't care. And it happened 10 years ago, July 19th, 2014, which was, surprisingly, a year that all of this started in my life. And we were told to come say goodbye because he was in hospice. And before I even entered the room, just something overcame me, and I couldn't hold back the tears. It was a cry like I have never cried before. And I realized that even though you don't have to have a close bond, you are connected to your parents energetically. It's like And I remember someone saying that to me because when I told them, like, I cried and it was shocking, and they were like, your father's a part of you. So I know how I felt, not even having a close relationship. My father was in and out of my life. His sister raised me, and for me to have that, so I can imagine the close bond that you had with your father and your family had with your father. So I can just imagine. And then shortly after that, before you can even fully grieve and recover, tell us about the wonderful woman known as your mother.
So, so Dad, he passed away in 2007. Mom passed away, it'll be 8 years now, in 2016. So yesterday celebrated 8 years of her being gone. And my mom, she had multiple sclerosis. We're not sure for how long she had it. Me and my sister, Steffi, we always think it came when we were younger.
Okay.
Based on she would fall or trip, different things like that would happen. And we can't really pinpoint when she was diagnosed, but it took a very long time for her to be diagnosed, Cici. She went to various different neurologists, first internists, then later on neurologists. One neurologist said that who specializes in multiple sclerosis said to my dad he was going to prove that Mom had multiple sclerosis. That made my dad not very happy. Maybe it was he was living in denial and didn't want to realize that she did have this. But it was around the time I was in college or starting college that she was finally diagnosed with having multiple sclerosis. So it took a very long time for her to be diagnosed with it. But one thing was having it, and she had progressive. There's two kinds, progressive and there's relapsing. And I know multiple sclerosis gets a lot of words out now about it because a lot of celebrities have it. And that's
Christina
great.
Applegate.
Selma Blair, yeah.
Selma Blair, yeah. So it's getting a lot more coverage now than it did because we didn't hear a lot about that growing up.
No, and even the woman from The Sopranos, who played the daughter, she has it as well. So again, it gets a lot more out there than it did, but there's two kinds: relapsing as well as progressive. And one thing about it is they recommend you not get seriously sick from it because it takes you harder to recover because, again, it's a pre-existing condition. And your body, it takes a lot more for your body to fight germs. Well, she was fine until she got what we like to call, me and my sister, the cold from hell. This was back when I was in college and my sister was finishing up and she was going to be starting work. And I got it, my sister got it, we all got the cold from hell. The cold from hell passed around. And she got it, and because of the cold from hell, she ended up in a wheelchair.
Oh, wow. And how did you take that?
It wasn't easy for her that she wasn't able to walk or move like she used to be able to do and do the things that she used to be able to do. It was frustrating for her. And there would be times when she would swing her legs to get out of bed and her mind was to walk and she wouldn't be able to. She would end up slipping out of bed and not good at all. But so we ended up she ended up getting walking pneumonia when we here in Florida.
Okay.
And she ended up hospitalized for that. And I was so happy when they said she was able to go home. So I was thrilled because, she fought it and she won. And she was happy to be getting out. And it took a lot for her to get out. She was weaker than before. Things like being able to hold her glass. she was able to do, but not as well as she used to be able to do. Because again, every time you get something, there's a little piece of you that goes away, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still able to communicate, sometimes not with me. So she was still talking. She was still trying to be her upbeat self and read her books. But then in 2016, 8 years ago, she ended up getting aspiratic pneumonia. And she ended up in the hospital for about 2 weeks. And me and my sister had to make some tough decisions. And we decided hospice, to move her up to hospice. And she did get up to hospice, Cici, but I guess she was just waiting to get up to hospice. And, you know, we did promise her that she wouldn't die in a hospital room. She didn't want to, ever. Not like my dad. She didn't want to do that. So we brought her up to hospice, and they told us that there's not much more time left. And so we were with her. It wasn't easy, by the way, to make those tough decisions that you're told to make. But it was me and Steffi who had to make them. You know, we're her kids. And
yeah, that's an understatement, because when we come back from break, we're going to talk about how this took a toll on you. And this is where I enter the story and where our friendship and connection really took off, and how I was
yes,
sent to you. Because God has a plan for you, and because He loves you and loves all of us, and just where you were, that your life kind of literally stopped. He sent me in to sort of kind of coach you and speak to you and minister to you, and we're going to get to that when we come back. So we'll be back in one moment.
It's time to rise, heal, and claim. You're listening to Reclaiming Destiny with Cici Stephen.
Okay, we're back. And where we left off, we were talking about how your mother's death, the impact it had on you. I know when because I would see you at work,
yes.
and just the mere mention of anything that remotely reminded you of your mother it would send you, and just, you get very emotional. You just break down in tears.
Mm-hmm.
And we could be talking about the Golden Girls. And, we could be talking about Fish, Friday, and you just break down and cry. And I
Yeah.
was one day at work, I was told to have a conversation with you. And I remember telling you, Joy, God wanted me to have a conversation with you. We're going to have a conversation. It was New Year's Eve. And just like I told you before, some of our most profound conversations, some of our most transformative conversations happens around New Year's Day. We just had one, this past New Year's Day, where we're going to get to, and which sort of kind of was the prerequisite of Rhoda's Cookie Club, sort of kind of started where we are now. And that conversation was a turning point for you. And even though it took some time, but tell the listeners about that moment. Tell us about, how did you feel? What was going on around that time? What did you think? What was going on in your head?
Well, I was kind of surprised and a bit of shock. But you told me a few things that it startled me a little bit, because not many people would know those things
Mm-hmm.
that you were saying. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like, so I didn't think you were crazy. I didn't think, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of surprised me a little bit, because I was like you said, a dark place. And from my mom passing. And when you're in that dark place, you don't really think there's a light. But you came and you were like that light that was going to get me out of there. And you have to want to be out of there, because it's like anything. Like it's like being addicted to something. Some people just enjoy being in pain and being hurt. And it's like an addiction of some kind. But you do realize there is a way out. And I hate that word addiction. It's not like I was addicted to being in a dark spot. I just didn't know how to get myself out of there. But you coming, and I didn't think you were nuts or crazy, but I listened to what you had to say.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did. And there was initially sometimes some pushback, and I want you to tell
Yeah.
listeners that story about, because in our conversations, I would always tell you, Joy, I can lead you to the door, but I can't walk you
Yeah.
through it. And you're going to
Yeah.
have to walk through it, because there's something amazing. Like the healing is on the other side. And please tell the listeners the dream that God showed you about the door. You can't make this stuff up, folks.
No. Okay, so I would get these like weird, whacked out dreams. Basically, a lot of weird, whacked out dreams. And some were with mazes in them. Some was wandering various places. But one of them was really weird and really disturbing. And there was like all these different statues all around. And there was also a door. And anytime a wind would come or a storm or whatever, the door would be open, but I would be shutting the door. But I would also see a lot of different heads. Again, I'm not on any form of substances, but yes, there were statued heads, sculptures. That's what they were, actually, sculptures. That's a more accurate thing. Or, yeah, I know my art history well enough to know they were sculptures of various different heads.
Uh-huh.
And again, there was the statues, and there would be a storm, and the door would be open. Again, the door would be shut. Like the whole time, every time there was a storm coming, there would be me trying to close the door, but the door wouldn't fully close because it would keep opening.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that, obviously.
Yes.
I know that now.
Yes. Yes. And that was just confirmation, because I would always say to you in our talks, like, Joy, God is a God. He will affirm and reaffirm.
Yeah.
And it's like, thank you for knowing I wasn't crazy. Because, but when God sends you to do something, and that's what we're saying about in part one, about taking us out of our comfort zone. When he asks you to do something, it won't make sense, but you have to trust him. And because I had kind of been on this journey, this walk with him for a while, I knew that when he sent me to you, because, I'd kind of done this before with other people. And, first off, you were a lot more receptive than a lot of people are, because a lot of people they're just not ready to open up. They're not ready to heal. Yeah. They're not ready to leave or walk away from the storms in their life that God was literally showing you in the dream. But he would come back and he would always confirm the things that you and I were talking about, or the things that I was saying to tell you. And I love it. And that's when things really changed. After that dream of him literally showing you the door that I kept telling you, Joy, there's a healing that's trying to take place. Like there's something that, you got to be open to this. And that Leo stubbornness that was fighting me and resisting the healing, because it was your life, and you and your mother, as you told me, was your best friend. And I know in losing my father, and that's why I told the story of losing my father, like I can only imagine those who are really close with their parents, and the impact that they had. That when I came into your life in that way, like your life was literally at a standstill. Your books had become your fortress, your solitude. And I was sent in sort of kind of, there was an opening in that armor, and I had to come in, and I was sent in to sort of kind of help you and sort of kind of reveal that, Joy, that on the other side of that door, away from the storms, there is a really beautiful life. There's healing, and your mother would want that. Your mother and your father would want that. And part of that is what has now become Rhoda's Cookie Club. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get into that story of how God revealed to you and where this started, of this concept and this idea of Rhoda's Cookie Club, and how you turned your baked goods that you used to share with the office into a really cool club and a way to bring people together with stories, similar stories of yours, of loss and healing and transformation. So we'll get into that in a minute.
It's time to rise, heal, and claim. You're listening to Reclaiming Destiny with Cici Stephen.
Okay, we're back, and we were just now going to get into how Rhoda's Cookie Club. So tell the listeners, and then I'll chime in on my part as well, how Rhoda's Cookie Club came to be. So first, tell us what the club is, what is the club about, and then tell us how this all came to be.
Okay. So the Cookie Club, that's what basically it was known as through a few people. Then later on did get an official name, Rhoda's Cookie Club, and it's named after my mom because my mom was Rhoda. Rhoda Herman Rothberg.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was not a baker, so that's not why it's named for her. It's named basically because she always believed that when you go to someone's home, you are to bring them something. It's just good manners, and always, there for, you should always bring something. You should never come empty-handed. And my grandma was the baker. My mom's mother, she loved to bake, as I said. But how it actually got started was more or less due to a foot injury. Now, I did, like Cici said, I would come to work and I would bring cookies or some kind of baked goods to the office all the time because for a little bit after Mom passed, baking was like the one thing that I wasn't in a dark spot for. I just would get an urge to make something and I would bring it. But as I was getting out of that dark place and relaying various different things and getting more weird dreams, again, I am not on anything. These are just the normal dreams I would get for me.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting my foot injury where I seriously, it was in a lot of pain. It was seriously bruised, seriously sprained foot. And I ended up reaching out to various people, yourself included, Cici, and a few others. And all of you were amazing and incredible with your kind words, your encouragement, seeing if I needed anything, if I needed any help of any kind. You were all there for me. And, of course, I couldn't put shoes on to even leave the house. So, of course, just the words of course, if you need anything, just tell us. We will, whatever you need. And so that was amazing of you. And I appreciate that very much. All your kindness, all your friendship, all your encouragement, even, there's just various things people would tell me. There's treatments to do to help heal it faster. And finally, my way of saying thank you to all of you was to bake. And someone's birthday was coming up. That was one of the people who gave words of encouragement and kindness. And I baked her cookies. And then that was in December. And then later on the holidays. And each person got a different cookie I was told to make. And your cookies were very interesting because that was actually part of a dream that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And
which a lot of your recipes are part of dreams, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes, they are. But yours was a vegan chocolate cookie that I decided I was going to do a vegan white chocolate peppermint on top. So it was part of the dream to go ahead and get peppermint extract and vegan white chocolate. And by the way, vegan white chocolate is not the easiest thing to melt, Cici. I'm just saying. It wasn't.
Yeah, trust me, I know. That's why I don't eat plant-based cheese, because it's really hard to melt. Give me my regular cheese.
the melting capacity is much better.
Mm-hmm.
But I was told to make this. And that's what I did. And as your thank you gift. And that's basically how it all started. There was, of course, a few people who didn't have anything and they were just very silent. And of course, no cookies for them. And that's pretty much how it got started, was my way of saying thank you from an injury. And then later on, something said to me to go ahead and do it in February. So in February, a few people reached out to me. One person was like, "Hey, where's my cookies?" And I was laughing. And another person was like, "So what's the cookie club?" And I explained to her, and she was like, "Oh my God, so I get your cookies sent to my house?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she asked about it, and I was like, "Sure." And then one person was like, "Hey, where's my cookies?" And I explained to her what the cookie club is, and she was all for it and thrilled to get cookies. And then it just slowly moved on to the Mother's Day collection, and then the most recent fall collection. But yeah, a lot of my cookies, Cici, do come from dreams. A lot of the recipes come from dreams.
Because you're like woken up in the middle of the night, right? Like you'll be woken up at like 3 a.m. and told to bake. Now, the same way that I would be told, I'd be woken up and told, start writing or start recording or given ideas for things messages to speak about to people and told to do it and do it now. In no uncertain terms.
Right. Like I got woken up. I was thinking of doing this particular cookie. It was originally supposed to be, this was for the Mother's Day collection. It was a lemon cookie. That's what it was supposed to be, a lemon cookie. It didn't turn out into a lemon cookie because I was asleep and I got woken up with the words lavender honey. Over and over again, lavender honey. The voice kept saying lavender honey. And like,
sounds
wake up.
About right.
I look up lavender honey. Now, again, lavender honey is supposed to, this is how funny this is, it's supposed to help you sleep. Lavender is supposed to help you sleep. But I was awake at like 2, 3 in the morning, sitting there till I'm basically, the voice would not shut up.
Sounds about right.
Lavender honey and how to buy lavender honey and what to do with lavender honey. I am then given the entire recipe for the lavender honey lemon cookies. Yes, that is a mouthful.
And they are amazing. They are definitely one of the highlights that I would tell anyone who's thinking about checking it out, anyone who's going to be listening to this, those are definitely one of the ones to try. And speaking of that, before we wrap up, can you tell those listening how, if they wanted to be a part of the club, if they wanted to taste one of your fabulous recipes, how would they go about that?
Well, I actually have a Facebook page, and it's called Rhoda's Cookie Club. So you can go on the Facebook page and you could just direct message me through Facebook Messenger and reach out to me. And you can ask me about the cookies or the brownies. The fall collection had, what you mentioned earlier, Cici, was the pumpkin chai spice brownie. That was one of them that was also basically part of, again, another moment or thought of, basically came from my childhood of spending Thanksgiving at my grandma's and all the smells and deliciousness that you get from that. And it also had a few other, like the classic fudge brownie that I went ahead and I put melted white chocolate on top of the fudge icing that I created. And I added some to that pumpkin. So it was a pumpkin white chocolate on there. Another one came from this was from late night watching of a Food Network program that I couldn't stop watching in the middle of the night. It was lavender blueberry brownies with a lavender honey icing.
Also amazing. I just some of those, and they were gone like the second day. Amazing. So tell us, before we go, tell us the future. Like, where do you see Rhoda's Cookie Club going? What is this going to turn into? What are your plans?
I'm just basically following the voice
Mhm.
guiding me. So I'm going to be making a winter brownie. Again,
Mhm.
I don't have time to make a full collection for like I did in the previous ones, but this one will
Mhm.
just be one particular brownie that comes from my mom's favorite thing. This particularly is my mom's one of my mom's favorite things to have during the holidays when we would go to Williams-Sonoma store to pick up stuff for holiday shopping or holiday preparations like Thanksgiving or Christmas, Hanukkah times would be this particular thing. And I decided to turn it into a brownie. So those flavors will be in a brownie. So I'm using my sister's brownie recipe to make this. And I'm just changing it up a little bit
And I
because
love
my
that.
sister makes gluten free.
I love how you are incorporating. It's like you, your sister, and your mother
Right.
in this one
Yes.
brownie, and I absolutely love that. And spoiler alert, I do know what this brownie is going to be called and what it contains because it was one of the many things that I was sent to sort of kind of help with and give you
Yeah.
messages on as well. So I know I'm not telling. The members of the Cookie Club will just have to wait to get it, and everyone else, you
Right.
sign up for it and you will know, or check out the Facebook page. But
Right.
this has
Absolutely.
been an absolutely fantastic conversation, as I knew it would be. I know that it will impact those listening and that they're going to fall in love with you the same way that I did. Any last words that you want to tell anyone that's listening that has gone through the death of someone they love or is going through some type of healing or is finding out what their purpose is?
Well, you do get out of that dark place. It does take a while to get out of that dark place. And in my case, I was in a dark place that even the books I read were dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that again, someone might not find reading Karen Slaughter novels or Lisa Gardner books dark. In my case, it was like what kept me in the dark place, as well
Mm-hmm.
as the friends you have when you're in that dark place are not really there to help you out of it. In my case, they were to keep me there. It took one person who I knew, you in particular, Cici, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew you before mom passed, and I knew that you weren't going to keep me in that dark place, that you were going to help get me out of it. And that I can say, I don't know how to say thank you so many times over, but with your caring and your support and your friendship, I was able to get out of that dark place. So there will be one person there who you know and trust to get you out of there. And in my case, once I was getting out of that dark place, even the books I started reading or was told to read, because yes, I was given even a book list, and those books are so much better for me. They're happy books. They're full of love and they're full of enlightenment and they're full of caring. And it helps you. So basically, who's there with you in the dark place, who you meet in the dark place, they're not there to help you out of it. They're there to keep you there.
Mm-hmm.
And only the people who truly care about you are there with you before you were there and are there as you leave the dark place. Those are your
Absolutely. Just like when you start, when you really step into your purpose, when you really find your purpose, people who you thought would support you, you're going to find that they're not. Like, as I started writing my books and selling them and starting this podcast, I really saw God really revealed who was truly my friends and who weren't, and who truly cared about me and who didn't. And that is a part of this journey. But very well said, Joy. And thank you so much for doing this. And we have to do this again in the future. We will. We'll update everyone. Thank you guys for listening. Till next time. every time I have a guest on the show, I have a segment called 3 for 3 with Cici. I love that name. And basically, I'm going to give you a question, and it could be your favorite hobbies, quotes, music, songs, favorite exes, or not. But in your case, since you and I are such avid readers, I decided the best 3 for 3 with you would be three of your favorite books of all time. And yes, these books will be on the website.
Okay. So this one is from Karen White, and it's called A Long Time Gone. And this was my mom who got me started reading Karen White because she bought it as a gift for me. So this one I chose for that particular reason. It's a really great read. It takes place in the past as well as in the present, and it goes back and forth. And there's a mother-daughter relationship as well. So this one was one of the ones that I chose for the 3 for 3. And can I just say, Cici, it is very hard to choose 3 books in my situation because of that.
I know.
Again.
I know. You know, it'd be for me as well. You want me to actually choose between my babies?
You know.
These books have special meanings in my life. So, yeah.
Right. Yes. And that was the case with this particular book because, like I said, there's a mother-daughter relationship. And so it's basically transitional. It's mothers, daughters, just the whole thing. It's just really, it makes it. And so it goes in the past as well as in the present. So I think everyone will really enjoy reading this. Another book, and this was one that was more recent that I read, and it's kind of very interesting, the title as well. It's by Karen Hawkins, and this is actually part of a series of books that she writes, and this is the third book in the series, and it's called The Secret Recipe of Ella Dove.
I love that title.
Me too. And Ella is a baker. She loves to bake, so you could see why this might be one of the books I would choose for this list. And so she's part of the famous Dove sisters in Dove Pond. And I'm not going to give anything away, but so there's a lot of sisterhood, there's a lot of bonding. There's also some amazing baked goods in this book as well. And you will see why it's called The Secret Recipe of Ella Dove. And you'll also see why she is a baker. And so this was one of the ones that I chose for the list.
Okay.
Now, the third one was a very tough decision because there's an actual tie of for the spot. And again, it's so hard to choose. This one is really interesting, but this one is called it's by Jamie Brenna, and this book is called Guilt. Yes, Guilt, Gilt. But there's many reasons why. Again, she's not guilty of anything. But again, the reason why I chose this author is it actually comes from this author. She was raised and enjoyed reading Judith Kranz's books. And if you remember earlier, I mentioned that growing up, my mom, Judith Kranz, Nate Binchy, lots of different authors there. So she loved that. So it's a good spicy romance. There's a bit of romance, but she is a jewelry designer. And she isn't given her mother's engagement ring. This is part of her inheritance. She comes from a jewelry designing family, and she wants that ring. It's very important she has that ring, but she wasn't raised within the family because she lost both her parents. I'm not going to give anything else away of who raised her and how she ended up in the jewelry design world, or what happens after, if she does or does not get the ring. because, again, that's the whole point of reading the book. But I think you will really, if you love the juicy, spicy romance, again, or grew up like I did with mom and grandma who read Judith Krantz books and Maeve Binchy books and all those amazing authors back in the 80s, you will love this book. And the reason why I said there's kind of a tie, because there's another, again, I'm sorry, but we're going to go back to Karen Hawkins again. She's the first book in the Dove Pond series. It's called The Book Charmer.
Oh, so I love that one too. That one is actually on my list to buy.
Yeah. So
yes.
You know why I chose this as well, because I said earlier I was even guided to books to read. So, and each book tells you a story that you're supposed to. So this particular Dove sister is a librarian. And I'm not going to give anything else away of why it's called The Book Charmer. But it's kind of similar to why Ella is a baker. The Dove sisters have gifts. So in Dove Pond, and there's 7 sisters, and each individual sister has a particular gift. The Book Charmer gives us one of the sisters and why she's a librarian, just like there's a reason why Ella is a baker and loves to bake. So I'm sorry, I couldn't keep it to 3. I know, Cici, you said 3. You said 3, and I gave you 4.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay. We grade on a curve over here.
We did. We graded on a curve.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this. I know everyone listening will. And again, if any of you want to check out the books or some of my favorite recipes and some of Joy's favorite recipes from Rhoda's Cookie Club, check out the podcast website. We got some other cool things on there, and we will be back next week. Until then, take care.